If you are thinking about picking one up, I just want to walk you through my experience using it the way most people actually will. Short rides after work, longer trail loops on the weekend, a mix of packed dirt, loose gravel, some roots, and a couple of small hills that are steep enough to tell you if the bike has torque or not. What it is, in plain terms, is a compact electric dirt bike that feels sized for teens and adults who want off-road riding without dealing with gas, noise, or constant maintenance. I fit on it comfortably, and I am on the taller side. It also does not feel like a toy when you put weight into the pegs and start moving around on the bike. I would aim this at someone who wants a simple electric trail bike for casual to moderate off-road use, and maybe some light property riding, but not someone trying to ride hard technical terrain all day. The thing that stood out to me right away is how small and tidy it feels. It is black, it has fat tires, and it has a pretty clean layout. Nothing looks delicate. The frame feels stiff when I pick it up and when I ride it over uneven ground, and the bike feels easier to move around than I expected. I am not saying it feels weightless, but when I had to reposition it in my garage or turn it around at the end of a narrow trail, I did not feel like I was wrestling a full-size dirt bike. Up close, the build is mostly about practicality. The tires are wide and they give you a lot of confidence on loose surfaces. The seat is narrow enough that I can shift my weight forward and back without feeling stuck in one position. The handlebar position worked for me without needing to mess with it much. The controls are straightforward, and after a few minutes I stopped thinking about them. Setup was not stressful, but I would not call it zero effort either. Mine arrived mostly assembled. I still had to take my time, check fasteners, and make sure everything felt right before I rode it. If you have built a bicycle before, you will be fine. If you have not, you can still do it, but I would plan for a little extra time and patience. I also recommend doing a quick bolt check again after the first ride because things can settle in. Daily use is simple. I charge it, I ride it, and I wipe it down. Charging from low to full took me around 6 to 7 hours. In real life, that means I usually plug it in at night and it is ready the next day. If you forget and you plug it in right before a ride, you might not get enough back for a long session, so it rewards people who are a little consistent. On the trail, the ride modes are actually useful, not just something you try once and ignore. There are 3 modes. Eco feels calm and predictable. I used it when I was just cruising or when I was on tighter paths where I did not want the bike to jump forward from small throttle movements. Tour is what I ended up using most. It gives you more push without feeling twitchy. Sport is where you feel the bike wake up. When I switched into sport on a straight stretch and rolled on the throttle, it pulled hard enough that I had to lean forward to keep it settled. It is not scary, but it is enough that I would tell a new rider to respect it and ease into it. The motor output is rated at 2000 watts. I am mentioning that number because it connects directly to how it feels, not because it is a spec to memorize. It has that quick electric response, so small throttle inputs matter. Once I got used to it, I liked how consistent it was. It does not lag, and it does not hunt around for power like some cheaper electric rides can. It just goes. Top speed is up to about 37 miles per hour. I did see the bike get close to that on flat ground with a long enough run. More importantly, the bike feels stable in the 20s, which is where I spent most of my time. That is also where the range makes the most sense. Range is always tricky because it depends on mode, rider weight, terrain, and how aggressive you are with the throttle. The battery is a 48-volt, 21-amp-hour lithium battery. In my use, mixing modes and riding mostly trails with some stops, I was able to get around 40 miles on a charge when I was not riding it like I was trying to drain it. When I stayed in sport more often and did more hard accelerations, it dropped noticeably. That is normal. If you want the longer rides, you ride smoother and you lean on eco or tour more. One of my favorite parts of riding this bike is the suspension. The front uses a hydraulic fork, and the rear uses an air spring shock. On hard-packed dirt with small washboard bumps, it keeps the front from chattering, and it keeps the ride from feeling harsh. On uneven trail sections with roots and small rocks, it does a good job staying composed. I still felt the bigger hits because this is not a full-size motocross setup, but it did not beat me up. It also helped the bike feel more controlled when I was standing up and letting the bike move under me. Braking is hydraulic disc brakes front and rear, and that matters because it feels consistent. I tested them on a downhill section where I usually learn pretty quickly if brakes are grabby or weak. These were easy to modulate. I could slow the bike smoothly without locking up right away, and when I needed a faster stop, I could get it without the levers feeling spongy. I also want to talk about the sound, or the lack of it. Electric dirt bikes are quiet compared to gas bikes. At first, it felt strange because I am used to using engine noise as feedback. After a couple rides, I started to appreciate it. You hear the tires, the ground, and the suspension working. If you ride near homes or in places where noise is a concern, being quieter changes the whole experience. It also means you should ride with awareness, because people might not hear you coming. Here are a few real ride moments that stuck with me. On a sandy patch that usually makes lighter bikes wander, the fat tires helped it track better than I expected, but I still had to keep my weight back and stay loose. On a short, steep climb with loose gravel, sport mode made the difference. It climbed it without drama as long as I stayed balanced and did not chop the throttle. On tight turns, the bike felt easy to place, which is a big deal on narrow trails where you do not have room to correct after the fact. Now, limitations. This is not the bike I would pick for extreme, rocky, technical riding where you are constantly smashing through ledges and deep ruts. It can do rough paths, but it is happier when the terrain is moderate and you can keep a bit of flow. I also think the charging time is something you need to plan around. If you are someone who wants to ride, recharge quickly, and ride again the same day, that is not really how this one fits into your routine. Another small thing is that because it is quiet, you can sometimes notice little rattles earlier than on a loud gas bike. I had a minor squeak after one of my first rides, and it turned out I just needed to recheck and snug up a couple of fasteners. After that, it was fine. As for smart features and app support, there really is not a lot to talk about here, and I mean that in a neutral way. I did not use a mobile app with this bike, and it did not feel like I needed one. What mattered to me was throttle response, braking, suspension, and whether it was reliable across rides. If you are the type of person who wants a phone dashboard, ride tracking, and lots of settings, this is not built around that experience. It feels more like a straightforward ride, charge, repeat kind of product. So where do I land after spending time with it? I think the Soleil01 is a solid choice for someone who wants an electric dirt bike that feels practical, easy to live with, and fun on real trails. It has enough speed to keep it exciting, enough range for longer rides if you are not constantly wide open, and a suspension and brake setup that makes it feel controlled instead of sketchy. I also like that it fits a range of rider heights, because that changes whether a bike becomes a household ride or just one person can use it. If you want one electric dirt bike to learn on, ride casually, and take out on weekends without a lot of fuss, this one makes sense. If your riding is more extreme and technical, or you need fast charging and app features, you might want to look at other options. To learn more about the Soleil01 Electric Dirt Bike, please check the comments section. Thank you for watching.